said, I am Sarah Bost. I'm Director of Programming, and I'd like to introduce our other members, starting with Amy Sloan, who is our Program Manager. Forgive me that I do keep freezing, and I don't know why. Our next member that I'd like to introduce is Dr. Juliana Conti. She's our Director of Education and Equity. Um, Amy Hall, up next, is our Director of Communications and Outreach. And finally, our founder and executive director, Amy Richter, is with us as well. We're going to go through several things today. We're all going to kind of take one portion of this presentation, but you're going to be able to go on a little walkabout with us through the dashboard. So this will be really useful for anyone who is relatively new to Music Workshop, but I think we will have some Easter eggs in there for those of you who've been with us for a while, our veteran teachers. Thank you for supporting us. So hopefully everyone's going to have some takeaways from that. We will walk through our materials as well, just to, again, give either a refresher or, brand new information to new members. Amy Richter will take us through some course components. So that's everything that is internal to each course. And then we'll share some sort of more external things. So like how to use these courses with a sub and what teachers have told us about how they like to segment or chop up these courses and use them throughout different class periods. We'll go through some extension activities, including some playlist and listening exercises as well. And then finally, at the end, if you have questions, we will answer them. And in the last few minutes, I will drop a survey link into the chat. The important thing there is that for those of you who are attending in person with us right now, we want to be sure to email you your certificate of completion. So if you can fill out that survey and put your email in there, we will send you a certificate for 1 hour that you can give to your school district for a clock hour. And we also have a handout for you that is multiple pages. It's going to include a lot of information from this webinar, including a listening exercise. So without further ado, Miss Amy Hall is going to walk us through our dashboard.
Yes, and here I am, Amy Hall. I'm the Director of Communications and Outreach. I've been with Music Workshop from the beginning, about 12 years now, and I'm going to walk you through where it all starts, and that's here on the dashboard. So here's my account, or one of them. And when you sign up for Music Workshop, or if you already have an account, you'll know that after you sign in, this is where you land. There are a few things to notice amongst all this information because everything you will need will be here. The first thing I'd like to point out is right up here, and it's kind of small, but and if you see a little red circle with a number in it, that is if there are new announcements. So the bell is where the announcements are. And if you click on there, you will see lots of different announcements, including conferences we're going to be at coming up, this sounding board, all the different course launches, PD, webinars, all the general upcoming events. So that is a great place to check out every once in a while, especially if you see a little red dot there. Next, you will see the checkout boxes, and there is professional development and our free curriculum. On the left here, this professional development, it will show all the PD that you have done, and it allows you to go in and out of them. As you may know, if you've learned much about our PD courses, they are self-guided, so you can complete them on your own time frame and at your leisure. If you haven't checked out the PD yet, you should definitely do that. And this is where you access and go in and out of the courses. On the other side, our free curriculum here, this is a checkout box for the classroom courses. Music Workshop system allows you to be enrolled in 3 at a time. And then at that point, we require you to access additional courses. You'll need to click finish right here, either that or on the actual page of the course, and submit feedback. And then that will free up a space to take a different course, access a different course. The reason we do this is your feedback is crucial to our program for many reasons, but most importantly for quality control and for funding. We read every bit of feedback. And by we, I mean mostly Amy Sloan. And no, we all share in that pleasure because it is a pleasure most of the time. But that feedback, we take note of what is necessary changes, we take note of potential changes, and we love to hear your feedback about what other content that you would like to see. And a lot of what we've created is because we've heard from you that that's what you want. And the other reason for the feedback is our funding for our free resources. Our program is funded primarily by grants and donations, and our foundations just really need to hear that feedback. It's crucial for getting the funding that we need to bring you all these free materials. Now, hidden down here underneath, not so hidden, but not so big. There are a couple really great things that I want to point out. One is the national standards. And if you click on that, you go to a listing of all the resources and their alignment with the national standards, as including the full program alignment by grade level. And then additionally down here, there are some tutorials that are different ways to use the program and the courses, including in different learning management programs. So that's a good thing to check out. There's FAQs, there's a lot of frequently asked questions that are in there that you can answer by going on there. And then we will look a little later, we'll look a little more at extension activities, but right here is where you access them. And that is a great thing to learn about. And I'm really glad we're going to talk some more about that today. As you scroll down the page on the dashboard, you will find all of our content. And as I said, we've got the professional development here. If you haven't checked it out, or if you're checked it out and you saw how amazing it is and you want to take another course, we're adding new courses all the time. And we have our materials here, and you can read course descriptions for each one, and you can enroll here from this tab. And then, of course, we have our free curriculum. And all the course topics here are, you can jump straight to a different category. We've got instruments, genres, cultures, careers in music, and sound waves. Sound waves are interesting. If you haven't looked at the sound waves yet, it is a concert that's an interactive concert with Q&A with the between songs. There's Q&A with the artists, and it really helps the kids make the connection between music and life and creating music and the tool that music can be in your life by hearing from these artists who have dedicated their life to music. Sound waves, additionally, is one of the some part of our content that is meant for grades 3 and up. That also is the same for careers in music and some of our culture series. Everything else has a K through 2 edition, as well as a 3 through 5 and a 6 through 8 as far as grades go. So I'm going to go here to genres and the birth of rock. You'll see here's each course has a tile. There is a course description describing the course, and the course outline, which is an overview of specific contents. And this is a great place to look and see like what the different highlighted artists are that are shown. And so that's a nice place before you enroll to really see a little bit of what's in there. Also, the educational standards are here as well for each course. And you have the ability to preview the course right here. And you can watch it here, and just it's really important to review all the materials before you show them in your class, just to ensure that it's suitable for your particular classroom. And then the final thing that I'd like to point out is there is a favorites button here where you can add this to your favorites. And I'll show you where you access your favorites. Right up here, this little green person, if you click on here, that is your profile. And on your profile, you can see the current courses that you're enrolled in. You can also see your information. You can update your information for your profile, change your password. You can update everything. I will say one little note, you cannot change your email. That is your login credential. And so if you do switch to a new school and your email changes, or new district and your email changes, you will want to set up a new account or contact us and we can help you. But you cannot change it there. So here's your favorites. Here they are right in the list. And so as you go through our course content, if you see things that look interesting and will align with your curriculum throughout the year, this is the place to save them and a really easy place to go and have them all at your fingertips. And then here it will show every course that you, even if it's not in the checked out, if you checked it out a while back, it's everything that you've ever run here. So you can also use that to, if you remember you had one and you couldn't remember what it was, you can go there and see what your past courses are. All right. So now we'll look at choosing a course. As I said, I'm going to pop down here to genres and go to Birth of Rock, and I'm going to resume that course. I could have also done that up in the checkout box. Again, now that you're enrolled in this course, you will have to provide feedback. By clicking enroll in the course, you have to provide feedback to get it out of the checkout box or to free up another position. But here you are on the course content. And down below here, we'll have instructions, and we've got for the in-classroom. If you're running it in your classroom, we've got for a substitute teacher, which Sarah Boss will be talking about in a little bit more specifically, and virtual learning, which if you're giving this virtually or if you're using it in a one-to-one situation with the kids and their Chromebooks. Again, you can play here to look at the course and speed through and see if you are looking for a specific thing in the course. And all of our courses are all the materials, everything you'll need is zipped into a downloadable file. The place you access that is download course materials. There are 3 options for instructions: in class, virtual learning, and then there's also Google Q&A. The main difference between these two is the size of the video files. They're in the virtual learning materials. They are smaller. The video, particularly video file, is smaller and to allow ease of use for upload and download to any classroom management system. And additionally, all of virtual learning has a few more tweaked materials than the in-class, which is meant for in-class. You'll see once you click on one of these that the materials are segmented by K through 2, 3 through 5, and 6 through 8. And then, Sarah, do you want to speak quickly about the K through 2? As I said, not every course has a K through 2 version, and you may have seen that we've been updating the K through 2 version. So Sarah's going to speak about that quickly.
Yeah, that's the really exciting thing. I've been working on our K2 conversion project. So our courses do have K through 2 versions, all courses except for like our sound waves concerts, I suppose. But we have been taking all of our K2 courses and starting very slowly to update them. So we've heard from our teachers. We love getting feedback from them. We even enlisted some of them to become advisors for us to give us feedback on our K2 courses. And what we've learned is that we need to pare our courses down just a little bit, make them a little bit simpler, a little bit shorter, add in more interactive activities. So more of like a sing-along and more of a movement activity and an imagination activity and stuff like that to sort of break up the course a little bit. So we've already put one out, which is Latin American and Caribbean music. Right now we're working on the hip hop K2 version. So that's going to be coming out very shortly. And then next up, we have our Native American traditional music that'll have an updated K2 version. So let us know what you think when you try those out.
Great. I just want to point out down here to the Google quiz. That is the fill-in document that Amy Richter will show you or that you may be familiar with. And that is laid out as a digital quiz, and it will force you to make a copy so that you can add it to your Google Classroom, and you can share that as a quiz, and then the answers will come to you, which is very important. And you can use this for virtual learning or one-to-one learning. It's a great exit ticket if all your kiddos are using a Chromebook. Of course, the other thing is you can submit feedback and finish the course here. And but for now, and again, that's really important. And we require the feedback for very important reasons. But I will show you just if you decide I want in class, I want grade 3 through 5, and you just click, it starts to download. And now Amy Richter is going to talk about the course materials.
Great. Thank you, Amy. My name is Amy Richter, and I am the founder and executive director of Music Workshop. And I am really excited to be here today. And I'm just so grateful for those of you who have joined us today and for all of our teachers that bring Music Workshop into their classroom. So I will be reviewing course materials. As Amy Hall pointed out, when you download the course materials, you're going to receive a zip drive that's going to contain the video that is connected to that grade level segmentation, as well as all of the handouts and documents that you are going to need to teach the course. So it's very turnkey. The first thing I'd like to point out is that and it's not on here, but there is an instruction sheet. But once you teach one course, you'll realize that they all work very similar as the one that you've already taught. But the Q&A, the course Q&A guide is really going to help lead you through teaching the course. It provides you with instructions, student instructions, as well as all of the question and answers that you need to teach the course. Additionally, for grades 3 and up, we have a fill-in sheet that is optional. Some teachers really like using this. As Amy pointed out, it can also be used as an exit ticket, either through the Google Q&A or the fill-in form. And then some teachers decide not to use it, just whatever works best for their class. And then there's also a course content sheet that you also saw that you can pull up on when you're looking at a course, you can pull that up and read all about the course as well as preview the video. Additionally, we have two activity sheets that we provide. And these activities change depending on the course, but there's usually a coloring sheet for the younger students and a word search for the older students. But we also have some other activities that we have included with different courses. This is just what is connected to our Birth of Rock course. And then last but not least is our sound waves page. And I think that this needs the most explanation because it's not something that's needed to teach the course, but we think it's such a valuable tool for students to have after they learn from the course so that they can reflect on it and also bring it home to their parents or their guardians to review what they learned at school and to further their learning. They'll see some of the artists that were represented in the course and some historical facts and name of instruments and styles that they can continue to learn from. This can be sent home as a PDF, or it can be printed out and sent home as a hard copy. So one thing before we move on, I just wanted to create a little bit more clarification on the grade level segmentations. So as Amy pointed out, most of our courses are K2, 3, 5, 6, 8. With your third through fifth grade segmentation, that video contains the entire video, including the musical movement minute, which I'll explain a little bit more shortly. And the musical movement minute, we originally included in the 6 through 8 courses, but were quickly told by middle school teachers that the students don't want to participate in the movement activity. Now, if you have middle school students that you think would really like to participate in the movement activity, then I would suggest teaching the 3rd through 5th grade video with the 6th through 8th grade question and answer document. And then our K through 2 segmentation is really the Q&A is a bit different. It's more experience-based questions. And as Sarah and the video segmentations are shorter. And as Sarah pointed out, we're currently revamping our K through 2 programming, but all of our genre and instrument courses have K through 2 segmentations that you can work from. Currently, we will just be updating them over this next year. So a typical music workshop course structure is as follows. Each course is built into 4 main segments, which allows for a lot of flexibility in your teaching. So if you only have 10 minutes to introduce an instrument, it's a great way to do it with just the first segmentation of one of our instrument courses, for example. So the 4 main segmentations, the part 1 is an introduction to that musical topic. Part 2 is usually a focus on the instruments or the styles. So let's take a genre for the purpose of this presentation. So it would be the instruments and styles of that genre. Then we have the music and life lesson, which I'll go into more detail in just a minute. Part 3 is artists usually of the past or early artists of that genre, and part 4 is current day artists. And then in between each of the segments, you'll see that there's a Q&A part of the course, and that's how you bring in the Q&A handout that you will be referring to as you teach this course. And as I mentioned, all of the questions do have the answers built into that Q&A document so that you don't have to do any additional research to find those. It's all in that document. All in, a course should take approximately 40 to 45 minutes. Each of the Q&A sections takes approximately 3 minutes. But as I said, you can really, you can spread this out over a month, or you can teach it all in one class. So there's a lot of flexibility. And now I'm going to just talk through one of the components of our course that I mentioned is the music and life lesson. And we do get a lot of questions about this because it is a little bit different than the rest of our course. We don't have a visual to this part of our course because it is an active listening exercise. We want students to really connect with a piece of music, the same piece of music, and think about how that music makes them feel. Think about how the for the younger kids, like what's that color that the music brings to your mind as you're listening to it? Or what activity would you do while listening to this piece of music? And all of that is really built in to get students to start understanding that music is a very personal experience, and what they might feel might not be what their friend feels that's sitting right next to them. So it's a great way to start planting that seed that music can be a very powerful tool, whether it's something that we study with or something that we exercise with or something that we relax with. It's really important that we understand what we connect to and how that's a personal experience. So this is really just planting the seed for those students. So again, there is no visual. We do encourage that students close their eyes while listening to this piece of music. For the K through 2 students, it's about a minute of that music, and for the older students, it's about a minute and a half of the overall piece of music. And we just find that this is a really great opportunity for all of the class to participate, and that it's not the Q&A is usually, 1 or 2 students that are, or it's not, they're answering the questions, but it's not a whole class participation necessarily, where this is and everybody feels like they can share their responses. So it's a great activity.
And then the second one that we mentioned is the musical movement minute. And this is a fun, get up, get your wiggles out type of activity that's connected back to the subject that we're teaching about. So students can do it while they're sitting down or they're standing up. All different ways to participate. And we have a lot of really great opportunities for students to learn a new dance move or a call and response exercise or a line dance, all sorts of fun things. And as mentioned, the K through third grade video versions have this musical movement minute. And the sixth through eighth grade version does not. So if your students are in middle school and would really enjoy the musical movement minute, then I would suggest using the grades 3 through 5 video for the video component that you present in class. But partner that with the 6 through 8 Q&A. And again, reiterating what Amy Hall said, make sure that you review all of the course components before introducing it to your class to make sure that it is appropriate for your students. And the other thing that we hear a lot from our teachers is what a great substitute plan our lessons can be. So I'm going to toss it over to Sarah and she will tell you more about that.
Amy, I was just going to say, I asked in the chat to the teachers, have you used the music and life lesson and have you used the musical movement minute in your classes? And Stephanie rang in and said, we always use the musical movement minute. And she said that today they were watching the percussion video and the movement minute had the kids play rhythms via call and response. So
Yes.
he's right that
And
those are always like a little bit different. You know, we just put out our hip hop one and it has a an actual hip hop dance from a choreographer with students dancing, and it's called the Cat Daddy. And so every movement minute is a little bit different for each course. So you should check them out and see what you think. But yes, I am up to talk about substitutes. So I'm curious, actually, if you don't mind ringing in the chat, if you have used Music Workshop previously with subs. I know a lot of our teachers say it's kind of a go-to for them because it's so easy, especially for a sub who doesn't have a music teaching background. Um, I actually taught music for 10 years, and I most recently was a substitute teacher for a few months in Seattle Public Schools. So I kind of know both sides of this coin, which is you wake up sick, you don't want to have to plan a lesson. This is so easy because, as Amy said before, it's all turnkey and easy for any sub to do. And it's also nice when you're on the other side, actually being a sub, because this is just so easy to, to do in any class, and the students really enjoy it. So I was just going to say, I'm curious how you guys use this with your subs, and in particular, maybe any kind of tips you have to share with us about how you get these materials out to the sub. But we've heard a number of different things from our teachers and thought we would share that one great way to do this, of course, since you have to download the video and the materials, is to upload all of that onto a thumb drive. And I would even take that a step further and say leave it with your office manager, because I know as a sub, that's usually my best friend at every school that I subbed at, would be whoever is running the office, because I have to go check in anyway. They're giving me stuff. And if you just left a thumb drive with a few courses and some course materials on it for any sub, I mean, that's a real quick fix. Um, and then just another reminder that as we do some of these revamps of courses, as we update things, that you'll want to re-download the new course to your thumb drive, but worth it. And also, I would say, you know, I had a sub gig multiple times from the same teacher. I would get a teacher who just really liked me as a sub. The kids liked me, and I liked it there. And she would call me every time she was going to be out. And so, if you're a teacher who kind of has that on-call sub, then I would just encourage them to create their own music workshop account because it is free and then they have access to everything. And they could even take it to other schools as well. And then of course, for, every school and school system is different. And so the way that you contact and hire your subs or have communications with them is all different. But if you're on an email-based communication with your subs, just purely having a Google Drive link where you've uploaded this video is an easy way to leave it for them. We try to save you time and give you things that are very useful. And so on the next slide, you'll actually see one of our offerings for you is a little fill in the blank letter that you can print for your subs. It's kind of like a Mad Lib almost. You just print that out whenever you're printing, say, the Q&A or printing the fill in or the coloring sheet. And this you can just fill out and say, this is what you're doing today. This is the course. This is where you can find the video. Here are the materials you're going to use. And, have a great day. So hopefully that's something that's kind of useful to you guys. I know I always like to have sort of a stack of substitute materials in my classroom in a place that's easy to find, just in case I have to be out last minute. So Stephanie says, great idea about having the substitute create their own account. I love that as well. And that gets Music Workshop into more schools that way. So I think that's a cool thing. And then Stephanie also said that she believes that Music Workshop is a fantastic lesson to leave for substitute because of the scripted Q&A. And she just keeps them printed out. And I think that's the way to go. So we love to hear from our teachers. Thanks for ringing in there and letting us know how you use Music Workshop with substitutes. We're going to hear a little bit from Dr. Juliana Conti about some other ways that teachers are using Music Workshop in their classrooms.
Thanks, Sarah. Yeah, so as a music teacher, I definitely liked being able to mix up my materials to last either one class period, a whole week of different classes, sometimes a month. It really depended on, again, whether I had to miss any classes, what our curricular objectives were at the time. And man, I really wish that I had Music Workshop because I probably would have broken them up for my purposes as well, especially depending on the grade level. And so some of the ways that we know that teachers have split up our contents to work for their contexts include cutting them by the Q&A sections. And our executive director, Amy Richter, did mention that we tend to group our courses into a certain structure so that after a Q&A screen hits, then you're in a new part of the course. So you can break any course up that way. You could combine it across different class periods. You could put it all in one class period and do different activities between those sections. You could also use some of it as a class reward. And so let's say that you get the first half of the video done and you've worked with the class and we're facing some behavioral challenges. You can definitely incentivize students' behavior by saying, okay, well, if we do X, Y, Z, by the next 20 minutes, then we'll be able to watch the rest of that Music Workshop video. And we hear all the time that students are asking for Music Workshop course materials regularly, and that it's become a great incentive to get students to work together more, maybe pay attention more. And we know that student behavior can be a challenge. And so any way that we can be a resource is a win in our book. Other ways that you can do it is to cut the course in half. And so maybe you want to do the first half in one class period and then the second half in another one. And you're going to hear more about extension activities, which is a great way to build onto Music Workshop materials by maybe pulling it into the students' personal lives, asking questions, getting them to do projects, and really reflect on how what they're learning from Music Workshop relates to them, current events, curriculum in their other classes. There's a lot of opportunities. And then, of course, there's the fun facts, which is always something, and I can say this after having helped build some of our coursework, I always want the fun facts to last longer. I always want to learn more about them. And we know that we have to continue with the structure that we've built successfully so far, but we definitely encourage being able to expand on any part of our coursework, because fun facts are just like a little nugget that could become an entire class period. There's so many ways to use it. And that's the benefit, I think, of making sure that you're watching our materials before you're bringing it into the classroom, so that you're able to be proactive about how you design your curriculum and lesson plans, and then stretch it out as much as possible, or fit as many music workshop courses into the year as you can. It really is however you want it to suit your class. And sort of on that idea are the extension activities that we have on the website. Amy Hall, in her tour, showed where you can find those. And we have some really concrete examples that we offer that are catered to the materials that we provide for free in our free curriculum page. That includes a how to incorporate extension activities into your classroom PDF that can talk you through some of these strategies. There's also a one-pager, and it says the one-pager is a demonstration and extension of what the students learned during the music workshop lesson. It can also serve as an assessment. And especially for those students who are being asked by their principal, how do you assess learning when they're watching videos and they're doing Q&As? Well, this is a great way, and they're separated into grade band, as are the listening activities that we have that Amy Sloan is going to show you in just a second, and then also art, movement, and games, where we are constantly adding to these extension activity options. And we know that drawing and music go hand in hand, and that's one of the many options that we offer. And so now Amy Sloan is going to tell you a little bit about the music listening extension activity specifically.
Yes. Hi, thank you. And yes, I am Amy Sloan, aka Sloan, because evidently we have a bit of an abundance of Amy's here. And I'm the program manager. And this is just the music listening activity from the previous slide in the center. This is the 3 through 8 example, but there's also a version for the K2 and 6-8 grade bands. And this is just a great way to get students to interact more deeply with some of the songs that you're teaching through the courses, and engage them in active listening. And as you can see on the left, it comes with some instructions and an explanation of the national standards that it fulfills. And then on the right is the worksheet that you actually give to students to fill out as they are listening. So this you can find on that previous slide on the extension activities, but there are also many other ways to interact with music listening activities. So Music Workshop has a Spotify account. As you can see, it is Music Workshop. And among our many playlists are playlists for certain courses. So our Spotify account is not completely comprehensive. It doesn't have every single song from every single course, but it's a great jumping off point for listening activities. So one of those can be the worksheet from the previous slide. You can use these playlists to pick a song and have students fill out that worksheet. Or there are other music listening activities you can facilitate through the use of these playlists. One of them is background music. You can play a playlist in the background during other activities. And this can be fun before you actually teach the course. If I wanted to do, say, Evolution of Rock, I might play the Evolution of Rock playlist at the beginning of class before actually teaching it. And that can be fun when then students have those kind of light bulb moments of recognizing a song that they've had before, and it can build the familiarity and create some buy-in then when they watch it. And it can also be fun to do after the course to help them build on that familiarity and make connections throughout the rest of the school day. So another great way to make music listening more active and more multimodal is by combining music and movement. And one potential way to do this is through a game like freeze dance. So I also think freeze dance and games like that are a really great way to reset energy and refocus restless students, especially for the younger grades who might just be especially wiggly. And on a personal note, I know that freeze dance, a lot of the time, the rule is, if you move after the music stops, you're out. I never like to make kids be out because I don't want to interrupt their engagement. And, as a former kid myself, it's no fun to not be included. So what I will often do, especially for those kids who need a bit more of an energy outlet is just create more movement. If you move after the song ends, then you have to do 5 jumping jacks. You have to spin in a circle, or you get to help me call other people out and help them do jumping jacks and just make it really active. So there are a lot of ways to make that deeper and make that more engaging for those people. And another idea that we have is Draw the Mood, which is also on that extension activity list that Juliana showed you. And you can pick a song from the playlist, have students create a visual representation of it as it plays. And this again allows the act of music listening to be a little bit more layered with other methods of learning, to encourage students to really analyze and interpret music personally and meaningfully for deeper engagement. And with that is another activity that layers music listening with movement, which is movement to music. And it's pretty much like a physical or movement based version of Draw the Mood. And it similarly encourages, personal reflection on the music and having students represent it in a non-auditory way to really synthesize what they've learned and reflect on it in some different ways. So in addition to these activities, I also want to call out that we have a professional development course specifically on the topic of music listening. Music listening is one of the topics in our long Music for Wellbeing professional development courses, but we made a shorter version that focuses only on that topic, and it really delves into the information and the research behind music listening in the brain, and it offers a lot more ideas, kind of like this, for incorporating music listening activities in class. And what's fun about that course is it is for all teachers. So music teachers can do it as we have described here, but it can also be for teachers of other disciplines to incorporate music listening into their classrooms for deeper engagement and for, just student well-being as a whole. So we definitely encourage you to check that out. And with all of that in mind, I am going to pass the mic back to Sarah to talk about some of the ways that you can extend Music Workshop beyond the materials that we offer internally that we've talked about here.
Yeah, so hopefully at this point you've gotten enough takeaways. You've learned some new stuff on our website, new locations where to find things. You've got new ideas for how to break up our courses. I am seeing in the chat that not everyone knew about our playlists, which is awesome. So if I can point us to a little bit more of an external extension for Music Workshop, I never actually played Kahoot until very recently at our music workshop Christmas party, and I won, and they're tired of hearing me talk about winning, but it was my first Kahoot and it was so much fun. It's so fast, it's so interactive, and I do know that many of my teacher friends used Kahoot in their classes and the kids loved it. So there actually already are a number of music workshop Kahoots that exist. What's nice is you can go in and it's free to view them. So you can check and see what teachers have already made. And I think most of the ones that currently exist align to our Q&A or fill-in materials. But this is something that it exists and is such a lovely time saver because it's already out there and you don't have to create it yourself. Although if you do have an account or if your school has an account, you could always create one for a course that there's not one that already exists. And I love how I just froze right there. That was so beautiful. Final reminder, just to make sure that because these are external extensions, so these are not Music Workshop sanctioned materials, you will want to roll through and check every question just to make sure that that things are good on the external side. So I hope that you are just full up with new ideas and things to take into your classroom, especially because it's January and we're halfway through the school year. And I know that my well as a teacher would start running dry maybe about February or March. And so I hope you get inspired to try some of these new things in your classroom with your kids. I'll leave you, before I leave you, actually, I will just let you know about all of our upcoming things. This month, we have our K2 hip hop course that's coming out. And we're also launching a new Sound Waves course, which is Glitter Fox, which is an indie band from Portland. It's a very feel-good kind of concert, very intimate. And in February, we will officially launch the Music of South Asia. That's music from India, Pakistan, Nepal, and Bhutan. And then we will also plan to launch our K2 version of Native American traditional music, which I know is one of our more popular courses. In February, we plan to start working on our Music and Life course, which is music in the brain, music and emotions, and what role music plays in our lives. And so we're hoping to have that launched by the end of the school year. And then we have a whole bunch of other fun stuff that's coming up outside of our courses. We're starting a brand new project called Cody's Classroom. Cody Raven Morris is a professor at Portland State University, and she's also nominated for a Music Educator Grammy. And she has been working with us to create short video segments about various topics. Some of them are like classroom management or various pedagogical subjects. She was actually in one of our earlier webinars, and she's a fireball and a passionate person and a wonderful music educator. So she's going to have a lot of new material for you guys coming up over the next few months. We, as Music Workshop, are also going to be making appearances at conferences, so we'll hope to see some of you there. We're going to be at CASMEC in Sacramento. We'll be at Oregon Music Educators Association Convention. Both of those are happening this month. That's in Eugene. And then we will also be at NAFME Northwest, which is in Spokane this year. And as always, make sure that you join our Sounding Board teacher Facebook group because we'll have all this information there as well as in our newsletter. We will keep going with these webinars, pretty much one per month. We'll have another one coming up next month, and those details are forthcoming.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.